Hi, guys. Welcome back to The Fat Way Out, number 12? Number 12, number 2, number 12. You know this little song and dance I like to do. Hey, listen, it has been a wild couple weeks, man. I have to tell you, you guys have blown me away with your kindness and outpouring of well wishes and love. I'd like to just take a little bit of time and just go over like some of the cool things that you guys have been saying. So I thought, hey, now listen. Listen. Probably not gonna be able to read this. I'm gonna see if we can read this, and if we can read this, life will be good, and if not, the whole stream is a giant failure. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. 47 47 views on the most recent podcast. Look at these comments that you guys have said, and I just wanna say thank you so much. You guys aw, aw, you. Let's see. I pinned this one by Tyler Boyles. Love what you said about O'Hearn. I really feel like you and I, who have had to make a change from not having any dedication to our health to now working our asses off to get results and become healthier, have it have an easier time at admiring the hard work it takes to have the dream physique. Maybe so. Maybe you know what? I'll tell you, Tyler, you have been the nicest man, and I appreciate everything you've kind of been saying. Cogsies, you guys know I can't read. I mangle the English language, guys. Phonetically, reading phonetically was not my success. I actually didn't know how to read as a kid. I barely know how to read right now. I had to do this like memorization technique where I would listen to a book, get read, and read along, and that's why I learned it. So whenever I see new words, it is hard for me to process it. But let's go back. You're doing an amazing job, man. I'm currently going through a weight loss journey, and I was disappointed that your segment on the podcast was so short. Oh, thanks, man. I'd love to see you back on the near future and talk more about your journey. Much love, brother. Thanks so much for helping me through my journey, Russell. Gosh damn, dude. It's wild. Firelord Ozai, by the way, still to this day, if you say Russell top 10 best TV shows of all time, easy, easy. The Last Airbender. Top 5. Now we're getting into the conversation because now we're really talking about True Detective season 1, really talking about, we're talking about um Breaking Bad. I bet I'll tell you, you got uh best animated series of all time in my opinion, The Last Airbender. Um the movie was a was I almost said a word you're not really supposed to say anymore. But the movie was a train wreck, and I will say that. But still, Fire Nation, Fire Lord Ozai, dude, you and me, we are a kindred spirit. You've got this, Russell. I've been my own body recomp, and how hard it can be to battle against your own self. You ain't lying, man. Battling against your own self is the truth. It's not been easy for me, but we're trying. Um, Very empowering knowing you can always improve. Yep. Even if it's slower than you'd like. Yeah, it's still progress. Yeah. Has Mark ever talked to you about fasting? Yes. Yes, Mark has talked to me about fasting. We've talked about extended day fastings. We've talked about one meal a day fasting, intermittent fasting. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Fasting is hard and good. And it's something I should be doing more of. Let's see, Robert, my dude, my guy always here giving me the positive energy and positive vibes. Love it. Um, I can use all the knowledge you're gaining. Thanks, Russell. This will be great. Thank you, man. That's super, super wonderful. Unlikely Toad. I started walking laps in my dorm room when my college roommate was out of town because I was too scared and embarrassed to go to the gym. I understand. How ridiculous is that? It's not ridiculous, man. I mean, I get it. It's not ridiculous at all. I know a lot of people feel intimidation. I still struggle with that. I mean, I go to the super training gym. There's like honest to goodness like power lifters there. They can like squat, you know, 500-600 pounds, deadlift 600-700 pounds. And like there's even starting to be like this pack of bodybuilders there. And dude, it can be totally, um, totally sort of intimidating, especially like when you're used to like maybe like me, you might be used to like I mean, I did some free weights in high school, but that's when I was young and could move around. Now, I mean, I like using the machines. I mean, they're a little maybe there's not optimal, but optimal probably a big part of optimal is like, right, you're less likely to get hurt. And the machines are, I would say in general, that's the case. So yeah, man, dude, don't even worry about that. No sooner I'd start walking in one direction, I'd have to turn around 2 steps in the opposite direction. It's true. But you know what? We all have to start somewhere. Absolutely, dude. And then Mark, my guy, dude, he says, "Who better to learn from?" You guys, I'll tell you, actually, it was a even bigger outpouring of love, and, they took, one of my quotes, and Owen over there at the super training gym on the Mark Bell Power Project, uh, he had edited a little question Nsima asked me, and Nsima posted it, and dude, it was like an Instagram reel, and it just when you're dude, congratulations, guys. You guys made me turn my notifications off on Instagram because my phone would not shut up, and it's been days and days and days, and still my phone is popping on you guys just giving a thumbs up or a like or Russell, you got this. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm just gonna go into it, man. I'm just gonna go into it. Somebody said something that just blew my mind, and it freaked
All
it.
right, someone
Oh,
asking for an RDL guy.
it really freaked me out. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can filter. Can I filter? I don't think I can. Don't think I can. Well, I mean, I can definitely just insert it here if I have to. Post editing. Uh, but I wanted to show you guys a comment that I got. No, it's gone. Well, let's see if we can find it another way. Russell, Russell, buddy. S- Uh, Sa- Sadhguru, very interesting man. I've been following him for maybe a year or two, and actually, Mark just sent me a really good Instagram post or interview with YouTube with him and Mike Tyson. Man, guy operates on a whole different level. Let's see. Let's go to my profile. I know this is a little odd, but I wanted to show you guys this because it really freaked me out, and it kind of shut me down for a couple of days. When I mean kinda, I mean it just did. Absolutely did. Let's see. Michael, I mean, like, look, I don't know if you guys let me just make sure. Honestly, I don't know if you guys are gonna see this. Let me just make sure. I mean, so many guys just, the Fit Boss, giving love. Rob again, the real Matt Wenning, recently featured on the Chris Bell Show, which once again, I've been told the audio sucks. Listen, guys, we're gonna have to take a little sidebar on the Chris Bell Show. Listen, we're having some technical support issues with the microphones because the way the room is situated, Chris is at the top of the room. The guest is at the, at to my right, we'll say 3 o'clock, and then I'm at 6 o'clock. So now when Chris is talking to the guest, it's a pretty straight on shot, right? He turns to talk to me, it's just here. He's just here, right? But the guest is over here talking to Chris, and the mic is right there on him. And when he's talking to Chris, I think it sounds pretty good. But if he comes over to talk to me at all, he overshoots the mic, and we've been losing a lot of audio. We're thinking about maybe switching some mics. I got a second table in there to help them adjust the mic and get it right on them. Also perfect. We're gonna really lock in the audio for the Chris Bell Show. I know a lot of you guys that are on my channel listen to that. That's how a lot of you guys found my channel, is through the Chris Bell Show. We are working on it. It will get better. But back to me. Michael, I love you, Mike, video game buddy. Angelo and I actually did a podcast for about 4 episodes, and life got busy. Um, Basket Barth, people who have the audacity to actually shame someone for any physical or mental condition they are in is disgusting. We're gonna put a pin on that one, kids. There are many avenues to end up in this situation, whether physically or mentally. We should be supportive and empathetic. God bless, dude. Doesn't mean we should glorify an objectively unhealthy thing for someone, but we should have an understanding and patience that because we all have things we are illogical or don't understand about ourselves. However, with time and understanding and communication, anything over time can get improved and better. Dude, bravo, dude. So well said. Stacy, one of my personal favorites of all the buddy gangs we used to work together. Now, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about Stacy. Stacy, when you work with Stacy, she's an intelligent, tough, a little intimidating person to work with because she was kinda like my manager when I used to drive limos, and, and here's the reality. She's an absolute sweetheart once she like, outside of work. So she's a tough boss, tough boss, but also fair. Holds you to, just wants you to do your job. I mean, is that really unreasonable? Just wants you to do your job. But Stacy said this, Russell, your speaking is always so real and powerful. My knees, my back, everything is ruined from being overweight. That's my point, kids. I mean, listen, dude, I am not here to pass any moral judgment on heavy and obese people. And a lot of these young people don't realize that um what they're doing is hurting their body. But that being said, I think there's a reason. I think there's a reason why some people are feeling the way that they're feeling these days. And we're just gonna go into it. Now listen, I wanna just set something up here. I could make an entire YouTube channel talking about people I disagree with on the internet. And quite frankly, I just don't want to do that. I don't think fast forward 3 years from now. Uh it's just I don't think I don't want our content to be about other people's content, sorta. But podcasting is sort of that too at the same time. So let me just pull something up here, kids. I want to show it to you. Mm. A friend of mine, sent this to me. Apparently, they know each other. Spoke as spoke of how this man is a good guy, and heart is probably somewhere in the right place. No, that's not you. Did I spell it wrong? Hold on one second. No, 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 no. I don't want you guys to hear it. No, 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 no. There we go. This is what's bothering me. Okay, here we go. We'll start that over again. I'll edit that out. Maybe I won't. Let's see. We'll figure it out. Connor, dude, bro. Here's my guy. Creating a home for the politically homeless, anti-partisan propaganda, co-founder of the Surf Soulfire Productions Company. Let's find out what that means. Premium podcast network for thought leaders, free thinkers, and visionaries. All right. Sounds fire, yo. Connor. All right. Here it is, dude. Starting a war on fatties. Let's hear what he has to say. Now, it's interesting. So many loves. Now, Grant, I've listened to this already, and this leads me to I have a curiosity. I really think that some people some people like to make content about health. That's like their career, right? There's a lot of great thinkers and doers and educators and athletes that make their content mostly focused around health. Hey, we're one of them. I as much as I didn't want to because I'm an obese man in his 40s that's not very athletic and I'm super obese. I'm like the superheroes of obese. I'm like Marvel obese, right? I mean, like I'm fucking fat. I'm a fatty. We get that. So it makes absolutely no sense for me to to try to um make a health and wellness podcast unless you go back to what we've talked about before. I mean, here I am. I work at the super training gym, and when I say I work, I kind of work there. I call it an internship. I do the editing. I put together the Chris Bell Show's podcast, and every now and then contribute a little bit of questions here or there. Mostly just throw softballs at Chris for him just to right out of the park, and he's super good at it. And and also, I've gotten to meet and know Chris and Mark pretty well, and I've gotten to meet their people, and quite frankly, Chris and Mark have kinda taken me under their wings. They're helping me, deal with my obesity. So, as a guy that spent, I played football as a kid. I went through all the nutrition classes. I was in the army. It's a whole other long story. I got on the keto train about 12 or 14 years ago, whenever it took off, whenever paleo turned into keto. Um, and listen, doesn't mean I was good at it, but I've been taking I've been the brain knowledge has been popping in for a long time. I do as much as most of these guys do. I'm not trying to be disparaging, but I've listened to all the podcasts. You listen to, hey, let's all be real. Most of all, just get everything that we're thinking of from Joe Rogan or one of his guests, right? I've taken the Joe Rogan course of health and wellness. Not that I've done it, and he's been up and down the gamut. But you're listening to people like Sean Baker give their interviews, or Lane Norton, or Dr. Rhonda Patrick, or gosh, there's more Peter, Dr. Peter, Taya. Okay. Anyways, like, I mean, I've got hours and 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 hours of the what's gonna eventually be a a certified degree of the YouTube education, right? I mean, I didn't go to college. I'm not very studious. My memory is, as everyone knows, is shit. But man, I've been in this world for a while, and I've been an obese male most of my entire life. Uh with have having had hoped and efforted to not be. But as I can only explain, I've been sort of, captured in my obesity, unable to break free from my bad eating habits. For most people, obesity is not the result from being inactive. For most people, obesity is a result from being from just chronically eating too much. Whether it's through eating your feelings, or through some sort of binge eating disorder, or through bulimia. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people get heavy, and some would say possibly this whole snowballing of bad health and bad body. The heavier you get, the worse it becomes. You're eventually, as what happened with me, you're sort of a young man or young woman, and you're able to carry your weight fairly well. Maybe not, some more graceful than others, but you hit this level, man. You hit this point where you're not able to move as well as you did, and you start hurting yourself. You don't recover like you used to, and then you either, like, maybe like I did, you tear a calf a little bit, or you get Achilles tendonitis, or you throw out a knee, or you tear your knee, or there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And but because you've spent your whole life being an excessive eater, and eating for someone of a large size, and then all of a sudden you stop moving, whoo, it just gets bad, right? It just gets bad. So, I mean, I I'm by no means am I an expert at this, right? I'm not sure if Connor's an expert. I don't know about a lot about Connor. All I can say is I'm just here on his homepage. He's got a good following. I hear he's down in Austin. I mean, look at all the people that follow him. He's followed by Slingshot, my guy Mark, Kettlebells. I follow them. HBI Brand Goods. I mean, it seems like the people that I respect and know follow him. So, he's probably, probably a interesting dynamic guy, right? And I mean, dude, and I have a lot in common with him. I am politically homeless as well. I do not feel in good faith following any political party that's in this country right now. I mean that's a whole that's a whole different discussion. And I know some of you guys are like, you know, rock hard Democrats, and some of you guys are just fucking like Trump 2024. Hey, dude, if it was my if it was my choice, we'd somehow hit the reset button and start over. It seems like the this primary system of just pushing extreme ideologies forward in each primary over these last 4 or 5 decades and probably further back. I'm just, wasn't there to really capture it. It seems like it's starting to not go well. And for me personally, I no longer feel like it's been a long time since I've seen a political option that I felt good about. Um, Maybe that's just an easy way, maybe that's just an easy out. Like, "Oh, well, they all suck," you know? Hey, look, these guys suck. At least that's my opinion. I've been Republican, and I've been Democrat, and I've been kinda Republican again, and I've been and dude, I was Republican because I grew up white in Northern Idaho, and I used to watch Family Ties, and Michael P. Keaton told me that that's who you're supposed to be, right? And Ronald Reagan sounded cool, right? I had no idea about, how people felt about him in California, how he may or may not have uh, shortchanged the homeless or the mental health things, but but also too, right? He helped us kind of dig out of through steady pressure and good faith negotiations. He helped us get out of the Cold War, right? Pretty relevant these days, right? Seems like can't have them all. And then I'm in high school and Clinton is the president, and you go, man, that guy's pretty articulate and everyone seems to be the country seems to be moving in the right direction. Probably was just the benefit of the influx of a second workforce coming into America. I mean, look, all of a sudden all these women started going and getting degrees and getting good jobs, and now we're starting to get two income families, and all of a sudden everyone's working and there's a lot of money getting pumped back into the society, and we had a boom, right? um, yeah, some of the stuff about the Clintons doesn't sound very good either. I don't wanna go into it. Uh, yeah, and then I was a big fan of Obama. I thought Obama sort of I thought he made sense. I was a big fan of Obama. I look back, I really, really disappointed that he lied to us about that whole national surveillance thing. Um, but from the get-go, the heat that he got was outrageous. Did I even bring up Bush? Yeah, dude, I kinda I mean, I didn't hate Bush. I kinda, naively thought that going into Iraq, sorry, guys, Iraq was the right decision, um, because freaking Colin Powell told me that there were nukes on a train, right? I mean, political leaders wouldn't lie to the people, would they? Would they? Anyways, back to Connor. Connor is he is, uh Oh, sounds like he's a podcaster, and, he's got a wide variety of stuff he likes to talk about. Pissed off at Dan Crenshaw? Me too. Can we get some weed, please? Absolutely. Debunking the gateway drug? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Brendan Schaub? Oh, I wonder what he thinks about Brendan Schaub. I'm a fan, by the way. I love Brendan Schaub. The guy is incredibly charismatic and very intelligent. Maybe occasionally he's not the most articulate, and maybe occasionally he hasn't dealt with things very well, but probably I wouldn't either if I was in his shoes, just being honest. Uh, Tulsi, cowardly wokeness. Let's see. I'm just curious, kids, just curious. Connor, I hope that we agree on this one. I'm a big Tulsi fan. Let's see.
Longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers.
Hey, you know what? That's how I feel about both parties. I agree with her. I haven't actually listened to her announcement yet. Just read the headlines because the news stresses me out lately. It feels like we're skyrocketing into a head-to-head collision with Russia, which is something I don't want. Uh, okay, kids, you guys are going to get mad at me about this one. But my understanding was when they backed out of Germany, we basically said, hey, listen, we're not going to push in on your fence line. And it seems like that's been happening over the last 40 years, right? Something like that, 35 years. I'm definitely not condoning violence or warfare, but man, can we please? All I'm saying is, can we please give peace a chance? And let's please not go into nuclear war? That'd be great, guys. That'd be great. And I will vote for any president that's the top of his platform. My number one platform is world peace, to not pick a war with Russia and to not steam into a war with China. But hey, that's not going to happen. And hey, this whole podcast is going to get buried in the algorithm because I actually said maybe we shouldn't let the what that the what is it called? The oh gosh, what's it called? The industrial war complex or something like that. Anyways, you guys know what I mean. So anyways, I'm a probably I think this guy's probably pretty awesome. Aliens working on my brain. Sounds good. The guy's a hunter. Sounds good. Um Probably a good guy, right? Probably a good guy. So, let's see what he thinks about awesome. Starting a war on fatties.
I think I've just decided that I'm going to go full in, just not taking shit seriously in many ways. And one thing that I think I'm really going to talk a lot about and really just become a staple of the Politically Helpless platform is fat shaming people. You know, there's a study that recently was circulated about how more Republicans died of COVID than Democrats. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've lived in Austin, Denver, like blue cities, LA, San Diego. And I've also spent a lot of time in red states and red cities. And I can tell you that if there's more conservatives that died from COVID, it's because they're fat as fuck. Look at
I'll tell you, not to be dismissive of what the man's saying, but I mean, that's simply not true, right? I mean, if you look at like states like Idaho and states like Montana and states like I think Wyoming, those are red states and they actually have some of the leanest smallest percentages of obese people in the nation. And then you go, I mean, and hey, listen, dude, I'm no fan of the conservative movement by any means. I just but sorry, I just got a ping in my ear. I'm no fan of the conservative movement necessarily right now. But like if you look at states like Louisiana and Mississippi, they're right at the top of the heap on the obesity. So I mean, I've listened to this before. He's given like a awesome soliloquy about how like most fat people are conservatives and healthy or that whole personal responsibility thing is a complete hypocrite if you're a fatty. I don't know, man. I mean, listen, here's we'll come back into it. He's
reviewed yet, and it's garbage, and I haven't taken it seriously. And to be honest with you, I haven't read it. I haven't read it. I don't want to
uh,
waste my time. Somebody's like, "Well, how do you know about it if you haven't read it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. You look at these things enough times, you're like, I can tell what this is. I
uh,
can tell
uh,
you that the Little
hey,
Mermaid is going to suck.
see, I told you the guy is just like me. A lot of opinion, little facts. Not maybe not a lot of substance. Obesity kills. Obesity epidemic. Like, listen. I mean, we this is kind of wild to me that people are. Hold on, Connor. Let me get you out of my. You're kind of. This is kind of wild to me because you know who are some of the people that we're not supposed to like, right? We're not supposed to like the alcoholics. Why? Because alcoholism leads to DWIs, and DWIs lead to, people getting in accidents. Or who are some of the other people we're not supposed to like? We're not supposed to like, you know, um, drug addicts, right? Like I've known some people that have been drug addicts in my life. And a lot of times they have to end up because of their drug addiction, they can't hold a job, right? Not with everybody, right? There's a lot of functioning uh drug addicts, I suppose. A lot. I don't know if a lot's the right word, but um for many drug addicts, right? They end up turning it to a life of crime and to feed their addiction. So way maybe I don't necessarily believe that people should go to jail for possession, if say if you have a little bit of the heroin or the speed, the meth, I don't necessarily believe that they should go to jail for possession. I do think that, like, if they're caught, in a crime, like robbery, that like or an accident that leads to violence, yeah, dude. I mean that's bad, right? I you know vilify the crime, not the criminal. I don't know. Does that how does that work with, like, and then with drugs too, we talk about how there's political favoritism, like, right, cocaine doesn't have near the same, um, criminal ramifications, and, the justice system comes down much harder on crack versus cocaine, and I don't need to say any names, but I've had at least 2 family members that I know of actually be crack addicts in the past in my life. So, I mean, it's not that I've had a family member be alcoholics, and, so, like, I know a little bit about this. I guess the point I'm trying to make is it's very strange to me the way there is this effort right now to vilify us fatties. And even Connor goes into saying this. Connor goes into saying later in his podcast, I'm tired of being told what I can and cannot say, so I'm gonna start saying, I'm gonna start saying the R word, retard, as he called it, and then, but he went on to say, like, "But if I ever heard someone say it in vain in front, or, in a slanderous way against a person with disabilities in front of me, I'd whoop their ass," or something like that. And I'm gonna start calling fatties fatties and whatever. I mean, like, listen, dude, there's a lot of mean words out there. In my opinion, there's only really one mean word that we're not supposed to say. That was what, and I stated this decades ago. You know, the N word is a word that's not meant for anybody to say except for, black people, right? That's they've, through slavery and through Jim Crow and through the segregation and through all that stuff, redlining. I'm a believer in affirmative action in a large part. I think, helping the impoverished get out of okay, not that you guys wanted to hear about this, but helping the impoverished, disenfranchised black folks get better housing, get better job opportunities, get better education opportunities. The job opportunities, I'm not certain where I sit on that, but definitely the education opportunities, and and maybe even with the job opportunities as well. Because I remember once when I was driving limos, just to kind of give some perspective. I'm doing what's called in the limo industry an airporter, right? Stacy, if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. And it was actually when I was working with you. Um, so I pick up this nice young kid and I'm taking him into an office, and I notice a few hours later I take him back to the airport. And nice young kid, when I mean nice young kid, 24, 22, right? And I go, and part of the job is you try to make a little conversation if they want to make a little conversation. I say, "Hey, what are you doing here?" He goes, "I'm coming in for an interview." "Oh, that must be exciting, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "Yeah, it's actually with a friend of my dad's, a guy he went to college with. As long, I'm kind of a lock." And that was very eye-opening, very illuminating for me of, let's say it, of his privilege, right? I mean, he had privilege. Now, was it white privilege, or was it wealthy, successful dad privilege? You know, I know a lot of poor white kids growing up, me being one of them, who did not have successful parents, me being one of them, who would not have gotten that privilege. But statistically based, mostly white people get that privilege. And so that leads me to sort of wonder, oh, I don't know. I don't think um equal outcome is the right solution to a lot of these things, especially in the workforce. But equal opportunity, I 100% believe in. So, anyways, all over the place. So, back to what this guy was kind of saying. He was saying, no, it's a pushback. And if anybody that's been paying attention to my side of the conversation for a long time, I have said this is what's going to happen. I have sat with Mark and I have sat with Chris, and I've said, hey, this is what's going to happen. People are going to get pissed off that the woke mob is now starting to normalize obesity and try to make obesity like protected minority. And we're not even minorities. That's what's crazy about it, right? Um, but I'm all for mean words. I don't think we should say the N word, and I think almost anybody that says it, they've never said it, whether it's in a rap song or in jest or repeating something they heard on a comedy special, is lying to you. But hey, I don't think we should say the N-word, right? And I believe and that is what I would call cultural affirmative action, right? We have determined that we don't want to allow that to happen. And I agree with it. But it seems like so many other groups have decided they want to get in on it because they experience meanness too. And now, hey, listen, my kid is in the fourth grade and he's dealing with bullies every single day right now. My kid's autistic. He's on the spectrum. He doesn't have the best interpersonal skills. He's a hell of a nice kid. He is a smart kid. He's a friendly, compassionate, even good looking kid, but he's a little socially awkward. And these kids pick up on it. And they found out that he, they can get under his skin by tormenting him day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. And we're teaching them right now. We're not going to the school and, I mean, we have gone to school a couple of times because it's gotten a little out of control, but we're not every time he says, like they're calling his name's Randall, right? They're calling him right now, they're calling him reindeer or reindeer, like reindeer, right? Reindeer, reindeer. And I've had to say, "Hey, listen, man. These kids are haters. They just wanna make you unhappy." We're not even calling them bullies anymore. Until he gets shoved or hit, we're not calling them bullies. We're calling them haters. As far as him getting shoved or hit, we're really looking into maybe putting him in some jujitsu or something like that to help build up his confidence, to help him learn some things about himself, and God forbid, but also if ever needed, maybe he can protect himself someday. So again, I'm all for people using mean words. I've said a mean word here and there too in my life. I'm 47. I, thou that has not, what's the verse? Thou that is without sin can cast the first throne or cast the first stone or whatever. And also the splinter in my eye and the plank in yours. All those religious cliches. Um, Listen, I'm all for him saying that using the word fatty. He said he uses the word retard, and I mean, I even kind of agree with that. There's a podcast, there's some guys out there, very mean podcast, very talented guys. Um, I've heard them because you can't say you're not really supposed to use the R word now, right now, right? They just call people autistic. That's the next mean down, and that's the problem, right? Once you start making the list of the no-go words, people just keep the list just keeps getting longer and longer and longer. In my opinion, call people fatties, whatever, dude. You know, um, I'm not here to debate that, but the way this guy goes in to argue about about fatties have all brought it upon themselves and they're the and, they're mostly conservatives. He sounds like he's not conservative. He looked like he was pro weed. The way he's vilifying obese people, that's what I have a problem with. Like, is what's the goal here? He's making content about fat people, but what I'm noticing is lately people don't seem to a lot of content about fat people is for skinny people. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, 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 us skinny people, let's look and laugh and mock these fat people. And all of a sudden now it's okay. It's okay again. There was like a period in time when that wasn't okay. And now this seems to be okay again. And I don't understand how this has happened. I mean, I do understand how this has happened. This has happened because the woke mob has decided to, try to uh, adopt obesity as being part of its, in club and make it protected speech and a protected group of people, which is insane. So now you have these free speech oriented people who want to just push against that, but not with everything though, right? There seems to be a certain level of enjoyment. I mean, if you go and look at this guy's podcast, he's holding back his laughs and he's so proud of himself, chuckling the whole time along as he's making these jokes and these witty slanders against obese people. And and I just keep asking myself, what is this guy's goal? Like, is he looking to make a political statement about free speech? Well, I mean, okay, but that's too bad that there's a lot of like obese people in the crosshairs, which is exactly what I foresaw happening and worried about happening. Um, Or is he looking to actually help some obese people maybe have an aha moment and empower them to change? Ah, maybe he would say he is doing that, and I don't know the man, and before today or yesterday, I've never heard of the man before, and, not an insult, he's never heard of me before either, um, and, maybe he does have a heart of gold and wants to help people lose weight. I mean, I heard him say he was a fatty when he was a kid, but he got tall and athletic, and so he gets to say fatty. Ha ha ha. Ha. Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, anybody can say fatty. That's not my point. My point is, I don't think he's helping anybody lose weight. That's my point. I don't think he's helping anybody lose weight. I think he's just mobbing against people. And dude, you saw it. There was like 500 likes and a whole lot of comments. I mean, we can go. I don't want to shame any of these people. Uh, far be it. Oh, did I actually get out of it? I got out of it. Oh no, it's right here. Like, look, enough is enough. Body positivity is great, but sometimes it rubs me the wrong way. I actually unfollowed some folks because they started to shame people who count micros and got opt out healthier ice cream. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. People that are counting macros are very focused on their health and nutrition. We shouldn't shame them, right? Build a wall around the snack aisle. That was one of his jokes. See, and a lot of political bias here. And again, I mean, it's funny and it's a comedy podcast, maybe. So, facts don't necessarily matter. Uh, here's this guy here. Even as a fatty myself, you told no lies. I need to hold myself accountable, be more disciplined, calorie deficit, and work out more. Basically the exact opposite of what I'm doing right now. Okay, well, maybe this guy, maybe he reached this guy. I would guess, and maybe it's because I'm kind of an emotional person, right? Uh, I would guess for your average obese person, being mocked isn't helpful. I don't believe fat shaming is helpful. And maybe for some who haven't really tried, like, it's an aha moment, but I would guess for most people like me who have spent their whole life for me personally, it was, right around 10 years old, um, I remember watching do you guys remember the Disney Channel, lady that would work you through some stretches in the morning? I remember being in 4th grade, walking around my neighborhood in the 4th grade, taking laps around the neighborhood because I knew I was fat. I got teased for it all the time at school, and, I thought maybe that would help. Little did I know it was probably the bowls and bowls of grandma's spaghetti that I was eating for dinner every night was probably the major offender. Anyways, agree with the concept with you, but make it politically by bringing any Republicans, which I just don't think is necessary. I agree with mocking fat people, but, you know, but don't mock my political party. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, and that's what it is, right? I don't know. I have the right to say feels a little bigoted to me, right? It feels a little bigoted to me. Maybe misplaced humor, and I mean, bigoted. That's a pretty strong accusation, but it does feel a little bigoted to me. Um, some people don't like fat people, right? Uh, he appears to be one of them. I'm sure he did a sentence or two disclaimer in there somewhere to try to clean it up to lay his framework of I'm a good guy and I'm not bad natured, but here let me now spend the next you know 5-6 minutes just blasting a group of people. So I listen, Connor, I don't think you're ever going to hear this, but if you do ever hear this, I would agree with you on a lot of points, and I think that if we hung out, we would see eye to eye on many things. But hey, I don't think your political biases. I don't agree with. I don't think that obesity is. I, I, in fact, I did some googling, Connor. I looked at the states that were obese and the states that were least obese. It was an easy line to see. California, while California was the leanest Democratic state for the most part, and also I know that you guys don't like to believe this, but a lot of California is conservative. It's just not in LA or Silicon Valley. So, but there's a lot of conservative Democrats, which I'm not one of, or conservative Californians, which I'm not one of. But then, if you look at the Northwest, Idaho, Montana, I think it was Wyoming, all some of the leanest states in the country, and those are super conservative. So, and also this whole notion of, okay, let's since we're gonna match Connor's energy and not talk about shit and talk about shit we don't know much about. Let's take on the COVID thing and obesity. I had COVID, okay? I had COVID, and at the time, I was roughly about 475 pounds, you know, and 45, 46, 45. So, um, I took my vax, right? I took my vax. I wasn't against it. I haven't gotten any boosters because I got COVID and I have, natural immunity, right? But I'm guessing for me, the vax was probably pretty helpful. Now, I know of people that are a little older and heavy that didn't get vaxxed and struggled with COVID. But I don't know if obesity in and of itself is your only unhealthy marker. I don't know how much that affected it. I know I've heard some people on the Joe Rogan uh, show talk about how actually your obesity really did play a role in it. I don't know. All I'm saying is, hey, I'm a big giant fatty fat fuck as I've been told. And COVID didn't knock me out. I was down for a few days, knock on wood, maybe I got the, Omicron or, my vaccine was right in its prime doing what it was supposed to do. By the grace of God. Uh and some good fortune and some science and all that stuff. And maybe because I'd been working out a little bit, it didn't knock me down for more than a couple days. Um, I don't know. I had other stuff I wanted to talk about, but we've been talking for a long time, and this sort of occupied the majority of my thoughts the last couple days, as far as like what I wanted to talk about with you guys today. Listen, I'll just recap it one more time. Let me catch my breath. Okay, I don't think it's cool for people to make fun of fat people, but I definitely believe that we live in a country where mean things are allowed to exist, and I really think when people make fun of fat people, this new notion that it's to help them out or to bring an awareness to them to make them have an epiphany. I mean, God, there's every day someone who's fat wakes up, they wake up and they realize they're fat. I mean, there are some obviously there are some exceptions to that, but fat people know they're fat. Fat people have to buy their clothes. Fat people eventually get so fat that they can't even buy clothes at a normal store. They have to go to a fat person's store, right? I don't believe you're helping anybody lose weight by shaming them. I don't. Um, you know, I've been told that there's guys that will tell you to eat pickles all day long and 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 shaming you is their entire vibe. Well, those guys are assholes. Those that do that. I was telling a friend, like, I can put you on the closet diet. I can grab you, throw you in my closet, and lock the door and leave you in there for a week, and just you know, slide in some water in a cookie sheet where you have to lean down and literally slurp it right under the door. Um, yes, obviously, people's metabolic dysfunction and insulin resistance and insulin sensitivities aside, you know, I think most fat people realize calories are king, and if you lower the calories enough, you lose weight. Now, to deal with the emotional side of that and the hormonal side of that is a completely different discussion. And people are fat because they eat too much. That is why. And people are fat because they eat too much of the wrong stuff and probably not enough of the good stuff. That is why. Um, but for a lot of obese people, if you're kind of an emotional eater, and that sounds so that sounds so funny and silly and lighthearted. Well, it's not. I mean, there's another way of saying if you're addicted to food, if food is how you use your stress coping, and if um, it can be your own personal hell a lot of times. Um, so I really, I mean, this is the wrong word, but it isn't in a global personally, I don't care about Connor's rant on obesity. I've heard people be mean to fat people many times in my life. Globally, I take offense to it, you know? I think to have such a callous and such a, he's just teasing fat people, you know? Like, haha, and he had a lot of skinny people laughing at him. Fire, 100% thumbs up. Woo, they needed to hear it along the way, you know? Hey, dude, reminds me of the 7th fucking grade. Not impressive, dude, not impressive. Um, Kinda sad, disappointing. I don't think anyone got help to be made better that day. But you had the right to do it. Probably fire content, and maybe you found a new way to get some clicks, right? Um, maybe Connor is a personal trainer on the side, and he's got, like, a mountain of obese people that he's helped lose weight along the way. Man, I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how that disconnect between the emotional side of it, I mean, like, sure, I mean, it's a science, losing weight, but there's some emotional structure that goes along with it. So, I don't know, man. I guess I just wanted to say, this is what I was worried about. Probably a lot of good common sense people. This was what I was worried about. This was what I was worried about. This is when we see that, we see, oh, Savage Fatty giving her soliloquy about how obesity is not a big deal, and she has a choice, and when we see people, you know, uh shaming my food choices because I got a pile of donuts for breakfast, and that should be okay, which it's not, obviously. If at least if health is your concern, it's not okay. Um, and then when you see, oh, when you see terms like fat acceptance starting to get shoved down our culture's throat, this is what I was afraid was gonna happen. People are gonna take a hard line on in the opposite direction, and then now we're gonna polarize. We're gonna polarize another group of people. We found a new way. I mean, you'd almost think it was manufactured and controlled by a bigger picture, right? Food corporations, maybe, I don't know. Another way to divide the American people, and now, like, I'm not supposed to like Connor, right? And maybe Connor won't like me because I don't like him. Maybe he didn't like me first already because I was a fatty. I don't know. Like, I'm sure Connor's a great guy, right? And I think if Connor realized that he was, I've seen other people do that. Like, right, I've seen I've seen Dr. Sean Baker put up a Instagram post where he took one of those apps, and it's one of those apps I saw people I used to go to church with do this too. I lost a lot of respect for him that day. It makes you have like a fat face, and they're laughing, ha ha ha! I'm a fatty, ha ha! Look at me! It's so mocking, right? I mean, it would be ridiculous for me to go. It kind of reminds me of blackface, right? It would be ridiculous, right? But also, it's in that same line of thought, right? I think we agree that the blackface is an untouchable thing. A lot of horrible history behind that, and I don't. I mean, like, you know, Camille from my old church and, Michelle from my old church, I still remember even though it's been 15 years, and Dr. Sean Baker, I still remember that you guys put up a post on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, whichever one it was, um, laughing at you having a fat face, and everyone went, "Ooh, that's gross," or, "Oh, that's funny," you mocked something that every day I suffer and deal with, and for decades have been unable to overcome, which, by the grace of God and by the help of some good friends that are knowledgeable, and by, my own damn strength and consistency, and learning how to make life a little bit more manageable, I'm getting a little bit of traction. I'm like 60 pounds down, which is great. I still have like 160 more to go, which is awful, awful. You know, you guys are being so it's so mean. It's so mean what you're doing. You have the right to be mean, but it's so mean. and, I don't think you're helping. I don't think you're helping anything, and that's what I think about it.